Breaking news about supply chain shortages in 2023. Hey everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. I am reading this article from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. It says important stuff. The title is 12 Items to Buy Now as 2023 Supply Chain Shortages Loom. So, people are talking about it, even the news. They recognize the fact that shortages are coming. So before I get into the video, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up, share the videos, ring the notification bell for all, comment below, all the things. So I'm reading the article right here. I'll just read it. This is good stuff here. Starts off, it's a cliche to say hindsight is 2020, but as shortages and supply chain issues continue, it definitely feels valid for shoppers. If only we could go back to tell our that thing that's been going on in the last couple of years, that thing and all that stuff going on, selves to buy extra hand sanitizer and toilet paper. Remember when people were fighting over it? Yeah. Certainly some supply chain shortages and issues caused by that recent event. And in some cases, panic buying have eased. For instance, the waiting list only demand for bicycles is mostly resolved. I didn't know there was a demand for bicycles. But anyway, why supply chain shortages still exist. Periodic shortages of popular goods are not unprecedented, but supply disruptions may be a long-term problem for global trade. We've heard about that, the stuff going on overseas. All the tensions raising, stuff like that. That will greatly affect our supply chain. So, let me get back to it. Multiple supply chain issues, duh, such as problems at production facilities, already fragile global supply chains, production capacity. They say climate change. No, there's nothing to do with that. And labor and truck driver shortages have converged to create the perfect consumer storm. They're even saying this. And while we're unlikely to see the empty shelves of 2020 and 2021, the supply chain crisis is far from over. I disagree. I think the supply chain and the shortages, the empty shelves, will be worse in 2023. And if we get to 2024, it's really going to be bad. But I don't know if we're going to make it that far. They say it's supply chain crisis is far from over. Unfortunately, it takes years rather than months to resolve shortages completely. Particularly in the semiconductor industry, production of cars, smartphones, computers, cameras has been affected. So here are 12 products expected to be affected by supply chain shortages and heavy consumer demand in early 2023. So early 2023, this is what they're saying. Cereal, bread, and flour. That's all wheat products. Why wheat products? Because of what's going on overseas between that one country that's super corrupt and bear country, that stuff going on. That's where a lot of the wheat is grown. So yes, that will continue to affect and it'll get worse. Lettuce. Lettuce is easy to grow yourself though. Just do it yourself. I mean, seriously, you can grow it indoors, you can grow it outdoors. It's the winter crop. That's not that difficult. One of them is champagne. Who cares? I don't care about that one. Eggs. We've all heard about the egg shortages. We've seen it. I've seen it personally in the stores. Costco has a limit of 2, whatever size eggs you choose to get. And then last time I was there was 2. The time before that, they were completely empty, gone, done, 0 eggs. The time before that, it was the 2. The time before that, it was the 2. So, and I've seen Walmart really short. So those are things I've seen. Prescription medications due to a lot of things. We'll get into that. Tomato products affected by crops. Cement and concrete. Probably based off, I think that's due to the chemicals that they use in those products, in making those products being in short supply due to a lot of issues going on. And they say olive oil, sand. I don't know how you can have a shortage of sand, probably due to the supply chain, the truckers and all that stuff like that. Maybe that's why. Also, the increased prices of fuel affecting the supply of that. Bottled water, poultry, liquor, and beer. Bottled water, I don't know, maybe because the chemicals that make up the bottles. I don't know. We don't have a short supply of water. It's falling out of the sky right now as I speak. And speaking of that, foul weather, you want to stay warm no matter if it's wet, rainy, doesn't matter. Then you need to get yourself some of these base layers by Fortress clothing. Base layers. No matter if you're soaking wet, you stay warm. People have shown where they cut holes in the ice, jump in the water, get out, 45 seconds later they're warm. It keeps you warm, wet or dry. -5 degrees up to 65, 70 degrees. All you need is a little, like this is just a thin base layer, nothing else on it, just to keep the wind off, because base layers don't protect you from the wind. Portable heat, when you're out and about doing the things, world falls apart, you got to stay warm. And you can't always be lighting a fire, you can't always be, carrying firewood, coal, propane, gas, all that stuff with you. So check out Fortress Clothing. Links in the description below. Get yourself some of these awesome base layers and some of their other products that are just as amazing. Poultry, yeah, we know. It goes along with the egg shortages, the culling of chickens, etc. Liquor and beer, I don't care about. I don't drink. Some people do, but all right. Next in the article is 12 things you should stock up now to avoid the shortages. I bet they go along with the things that are shortages of. But first, don't give in to the temptation of panic buying, they say. Artificial demand can create supply chain disruption. Think of the great toilet paper shortage of 2020. Yeah, I get it. Because people freaked out and caused it to happen. People say that preppers cause food shortages and stuff. That's not the case, because preppers are continually buying and continually prepping. It's the people that aren't prepared that freak out, go to the store and buy a bunch of stuff. Those people are the problem, not preppers. So you people that are here, I know that you're not causing the problem. Picking up a few extra items or buying easy is a smart way to stock up without emptying the store shelves for other shoppers. And that's preppers, right? So they're telling you to be a prepper without telling you to be a prepper. All right, number one, the item that they say to stock up on now: cereal, bread, and flour. Why? Because it's made out of grains, specifically wheat. It'll only get more expensive. Yeah, and or not available. The price of grains is soaring due to the war over there I talked about, stressing the world's wheat supply, complicated by the destruction of their power grid. This problem is likely to be a long-term one. Yeah, I agree. So squirrel away a few extra boxes of cereal, big bag of wheat, flour, stuff like that, Yeah, stock up on wheat-based products. Hard red wheat, flour itself. Flour, though, you got to rotate. It doesn't have that long of a shelf life. So think about that. Lettuce. During the fall and winter, much of the U.S. enjoys lettuce from California, specifically the Salinas Valley. But this year's crop was stuck with a kind of like that thing that we talked about recently over the last couple of years, decimating up to 75% of the local supply of both iceberg and romaine lettuces. Prices skyrocketing 400%. When you spot a sale, try to stock up. Freezer-friendly hearts of romaine, spinach, or butter lettuce. I don't really like freezing lettuce. So lettuce is one of those things that's is best fresh, of course. That's why just grow it yourself. I mean, that's my answer, not their answer. Champagne shortages, drought affecting the crop in 2022, and a glass shortage compounded the issues. Okay, don't really care, but maybe you do. Eggs. I don't really care, because even if you enjoy it or you like it or it's part of your life, it doesn't have to be. It's not one of those things you have to have. It's not food. It's not water. It's not a necessity. It's it's an item you can do away with. Okay, eggs. While concerns about most things in the dairy case have eased, eggs are still in short supply and experiencing significant price hikes. Much of this is due to the ravaging avian thing, demic thing, that is ravaging the global supply chain. So the culling of chickens, etc. And it's not just that, though. They do the PCR tests, and if one bird in a million has positive results, which is almost impossible not to, then they call the whole herd. That's retarded. Anyway, prescription medications. Perhaps the most concerning of all current shortages of popular prescription medications, and such as antibiotics, antivirals, and even ADHD medications, which are largely driven by increased demand. And while you can't always stock up on meds, you can keep a closer eye on your pill supply and allow extra time for refills at your pharmacy. You can stock up, especially antibiotics. There are places where you can get fish antibiotics, animal antibiotics online without a prescription, and you can have them. I have them. We use them. My wife has gone through like 3 or 4 rounds of fish mox, amoxicillin. It's 250 milligram or 500 milligram pills, caplets, which that happens to be the dosage. Her dosage is about 500. So it's kind of funny that they even come in our dosage. But check your dosage and be smart. Don't say that I told you. Just go out and start using antibiotics like crazy. You got to be careful. You got to be smart, and do your research. Let me see. Tomato products. Due to extreme drought in California, again, they're trying to keep up with the tomato crop from going under this year. That means higher prices from everything tomatoes, salsa, marinara sauces, ketchup, all the things, So toss in a couple extra bottles, cans, etc. It's just part of our preps. We got to keep these things in mind. Cement and concrete. Plan ahead. If you need to use some. I would say if you're the kind of like you're using it around your house, you're buying a bag or 2 or something like that, you're probably not going to see shortages. It's if you're building construction or something like that. So that probably doesn't affect most of us. Olive oil. I cook with olive oil all the time. I love olive oil. So olive oil, this is what they say about olive oil. Heat waves in Spain are threatening the olive harvest this year. That means, as you guessed it, shortages in olive oil. Go ahead, buy an extra bottle each time. They say cool, dark place stored for up to 20 months. Yeah. So that's something that we readily use on a regular basis. Do you have to have olive oil? No. You can use other oils also, but, hey, if you want to. Sand. Don't really care. I'm going to skip that one. Bottled water. As groundwater dries up out west and boil notices become more frequent, many towns and even large cities are having to turn to bottled water for short-term survival. And while you shouldn't make bottled water supply more stress than for those in need, it's worth having an extra case on hand, or 2 or 50 cases. Every time I go to the store, I buy at least 1 case of bottled waters. So, I mean, shoot, just sitting outside my back door right now, I think I have 12 cases right there. And not to mention in the other locations where I have them, in the shed, food storage locations, inside the house, upstairs, storage unit, friends' properties, other places that I'm not going to mention. Yeah, stockpile water. All right, the second last one, poultry. That FLU thing, culling of birds, stuff like that. I mean, that's really what it's about. I don't really need to talk more about that. Liquor and beer, glass bottles, aluminum cans, aluminum prices, shortages, stuff like that. And they say buy now, save later. Yeah, well, that's what we do as preppers. So that's all they say in the article. It is eye-opening, though, that other people like media sources are talking about stuff like this. It's kind of getting to the point where they have to, because so many people are seeing it, so many people are talking about it, so many people know about it. We as preppers have known about it for a while. That's why we prep. So keep on doing what you're doing. Think about these items, though. You could definitely set yourselves up for success if you follow the trends. But what I say is be proactive, not reactive. So yes, this is a reactive type thing, but do it in a way where you're setting yourselves up. Identify these things as quick as possible. When you first start hearing about shortages or increased prices, stuff like that, start buying a little extra. Because then when the real panic comes, you don't have to worry. You can leave that section alone, like the area where there's flour and bread and stuff like that, and you can move on to the next section that will be affected by that. Think ahead, be smart. I love you guys. Have a wonderful day, and blessings to you and yours.